Here's a simple question for you. Is calling for genocide wrong? Do you think it violates normal conduct and rules? It's a no-brainer because the answer is yes. But not for those leading top American colleges, the presidents at top US institutions. We're talking about the so-called best of the best, Harvard, MIT, and University of Pennsylvania. Two of them are Ivy League colleges. The third is the gold standard on technology and science. But on human decency, all of them fail. On Tuesday, the presidents of these colleges appeared in the US Congress. It was an open hearing. American lawmakers questioned them on anti-Semitism. Pretty straightforward, right? Just say it's wrong. Anti-Semitism is wrong. Promise to crack down and listen to the criticism.
Palki Sharma wants to educate us on how simple a yes or no question is. Because according to her, what members of Congress were asking the leaders of those Ivy League institutions were a simple yes or no question, and that was just it. So let's listen to Palki Sharma educate us on how far those leaders have gone and how broken the American educational system has become and how anti-Semitic we've all been, because somehow we cannot answer a yes or a no question. Let's watch.
At MIT, does calling for the genocide of Jews violate MIT's code of conduct or rules regarding bullying and harassment? Yes or no?
If targeted at individuals, not making public statements.
Yes or no? Calling for the genocide of Jews does not constitute bullying and harassment?
I have not heard calling for the genocide for Jews on our campus.
But you've heard chants for intifada.
I've heard chants, which can be anti-Semitic depending on the context, when calling for the elimination of the Jewish people.
And Dr. Gay, at Harvard, does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Harvard's rules of bullying and harassment? Yes or no?
It can be, depending on the context.
What's the context?
Targeted as an individual, targeted at an individual.
It's targeted at Jewish students, Jewish individuals. Do you understand your testimony is dehumanizing them? Do you understand that dehumanization is part of anti-Semitism? I will ask you one more time. Does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Harvard's rules of bullying and harassment? Yes or no?
Anti-Semitic rhetoric.
And is it anti-Semitic rhetoric?
Anti-Semitic rhetoric, when it crosses into conduct that amounts to bullying, harassment, intimidation, that is actionable conduct, and we do take action.
So the answer is yes, that calling for the genocide of Jews violates Harvard Code of Conduct, correct?
Again, it depends on the context.
It does not depend on the context. The answer is yes, and this is why you should resign. These are unacceptable answers across the board.
You know, the only thing that gets me so kind of like triggered about this whole line of questioning was the way it was being crafted or designed. You realize that there was no way out for these leaders, right? It was like a trap. Either way they answer was going to be more devastating for them and their leadership than you would expected. If they said yes, it wasn't going to be good for them or their schools. If they say no, it wasn't going to be good for them or their school. The yes or no answer was never the bottom line of the question. If you ask me personally, I would say that the nuanced answer they gave was the best. Because in a situation like this, many things have to be put into context. An understanding has to be made before an answer can be given. But according to Palki Sharma, these leaders don't understand anything. And according to her, they cannot or they won't, if I may put it that way, cast out anti-Semitism if they saw it. That if someone was openly being anti-Semitic or someone was openly harassing other students on campus, that these leaders would do nothing about it, which I don't think that has been the sin so far. There have been a lot of protests in America on campuses around the world. Now, there might have been some exceptions. Like in any case, there are always a few exceptions. But overall, those protests have been about the ongoing conflict in Gaza and how people wanted ceasefire. People are hoping that this whole war on Gaza comes to an end so that the innocent Palestinians do not get killed for something they knew nothing about. That was the baseline of the whole protest that has been going on in US and on campus. And to see members of Congress so focusing on this issue and specifically against the Jews, not against campus students or not against students on campus, like every single student, but just about the Jewish students on campus, is so crazy. And remember, most of those members of Congress are funded by AIPAC. And AIPAC is a Jewish lobbying group in America. So you can see the motive of these members of Congress to kind of like bring up the notion that we are trying to fight against anti-Semitism. That's what they will say. But we all understand who their masters are, who is funding them. We know. So I would suggest that before First Post or Vintage, whatever they call themselves, want to come out with a segment like this, they should have an understanding of what was really going on. Because I guess Palki Sharma is a very intelligent lady. She's very good at her job. And I guess she is not the one writing these scripts. She just read them. I would suggest that she understand the entire context at which these questions were being asked. It wasn't like a simple yes or no question that you would take in an English test. That wasn't it. It was a way to entrap these leaders. And they were smart enough to see through the entrapment. She mentioned about being fair. She mentioned about being making the university a safe place for all students. She mentioned about making sure that everyone feels safe on campus. So if these leaders would have said yes, wouldn't that disproportionately affected some students? If they had said no, wouldn't that done the same thing? But you guys out there, do you think that the quote-unquote rise of anti-Semitism on campuses is as a result of people or students just wanting to hate their fellow friends? Or maybe people found out something that was wrong and then they are being angry about. Do you think that all this so-called anti-Semitism is really anti-Semitism, or it's just because when anyone said anything, they disagree with how the Israeli authority are going about their whole war on Gaza? When anyone brought this concern, they are being labeled as anti-Semitic. Is that the case? Let us know in the comment section below, because we love hearing what you have to say.